Network between the headlines. It's Friday, folks, and it's 6 o'clock Eastern Time in Washington, D.C. 84 degrees, partly cloudy, 32% chance of precipitation. President Trump is heading off to Camp David for the weekend. And now it's time for your White House rundown before we get to all of the top news of the day. Good evening. I'm Gary Franchi, Next News Network Chief White House Correspondent, delivering the latest White House news from the past 24 hours in partnership with our streaming partner, Trump Daily Post. Tonight, the White House message is centered on strength, honor, security, and results. President Trump honored American heroes. The administration pressed its America First Iran agreement. Border releases hit a 3-decade low, and Tulsi Gabbard closed out her time at ODNI with a farewell and new disclosures tied to Anthony Fauci. The day's emotional centerpiece came at the White House, where President Trump held a Medal of Honor ceremony honoring 3 Americans for extraordinary valor. The broader White House message paired that patriotism with a record of action from national security to border enforcement, while official social media pushed images of a country that the administration says is strong, safe, and respected again. The same White House messaging also highlighted continued momentum behind the Iran agreement, falling oil prices, surging markets, and record low border release numbers. Also drawing major attention over the last 24 hours, Tulsi Gabbard posted she walked out of ODNI headquarters for the last time and thanked President Trump for the honor of serving the nation as the Director of National Intelligence. The same White House guidance identified her release of new Fauci-related documents as one of the biggest accountability developments of the day, tied to COVID-era policies, gain-of-function research, suppression of the lab leak theory, and coordination involving intelligence elements and media during the previous administration. The guidance also highlighted cabinet messaging from Secretary Kennedy on summer health and President Trump's Truth Social post praising what he called a very popular agreement. The White House said President Donald J. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance signed a memorandum of understanding with Iran, aiming at preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and ensuring the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to free navigation. The administration framed the agreement as America First in action and a clear break from the failures of the Biden years. The White House also released support from Senators John Barrasso, Jim Banks, Marsha Blackburn, and Lindsey Graham, all backing the agreement as a move that strengthens security, promotes peace through strength, and helps economic stability, including lower energy costs. And according to the daily guidance, President Trump's weekend schedule begins with executive time at the White House, followed by travel to Joint Base Andrews to greet U.S. Air Force service members before departing for Camp David. On Saturday, the president remains at Camp David for executive time, and on Sunday he returns to the White House through Joint Base Andrews. Most of the movement is closed to the press with travel pool coverage only. And from the pool report, the presidential motorcade arrived at Joint Base Andrews at 2:32 p.m., rolled along the flight line to the hangar, where the Beast entered at 2:37 p.m. The trip from Washington was uneventful as the president moved into the closed press event before departing later for Camp David. And also from the pool report, the president was set to speak inside a large hangar with the event broadcast and streamed live. A new Air Force One, that's right, bearing a paint scheme designed by President Trump, stood opposite the press position with a stage and lectern beneath the presidential seal on the aircraft. And from the pool report, President Trump also toured the bridge of the new Air Force One aircraft and was accompanied by Margot Martin and Natalie Harp. The update tied the visit to U.S. Air Force press release shared by the White House. And from the pool report, President Trump arrived at the event at 3:39 p.m. After exiting the parked aircraft in a hangar lined with large American flags, he greeted the crowd with fist pumps, shook hands with military leaders, including Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane, and prepared to deliver remarks before heading to Camp David. Also from the pool report, President Trump confirmed that an aircraft had been gifted to the United States by the government of Qatar. The report presented that confirmation as part of the president's in-town activities tied to the Andrews event. Also from the pool reports, the president wrapped his remarks at 4:10 and announced that his return from the G7 in France marked the final planned presidential trip on the VC-25A aircraft, the original Air Force One. He said that the modified Qatari aircraft will be transformed into a flying White House and take part in a major July 4th flyover of the Capitol and the White House. Also said he's working with Jack Nicklaus to renovate the golf course at Joint Base Andrews. Also from the pool report, the president departed the hangar at 4:19, boarded Marine 1 at 4:21, and lifted off for Camp David at 4:26 without taking any questions. Closing out a day. I dropped on YouTube? I don't know how to explain it. Okay. I don't know what you're saying, but okay, we're going to take a look. I'm going to see the feed itself. Yeah, the feed is active. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's really strange. Well, as long as my audio is there, then it is what it is. Okay. All right, let's go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get these next stories. Where are we going today, right? Okay, sorry for that, guys. All right, so we're going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard, what she released today. We've got news on what's going on with the Major League Baseball. The DOJ is investigating them for crimes against Christians now. Biden also showed up at the Obama dumpster, I guess, the trash can that they're calling a presidential library. Yeah, so we got that and what's going on there. We're also going to talk more about the latest out of the Iran talks, CNN's conniption fit over the reflecting pool, new imagery of the new Air Force One with respect to that. And I'm getting a phone call now because, hang on. Hey, Michael, I'm live right now. Please.
Dude, Alan Wilson just got Trump's endorsement, baby.
Oh, he did? Well, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Alan
yes,
Wilson.
You have to...
Well, you're live right now, so you're announcing it. You're live.
All right. Well, we're live here on Gary Franchi's Next News Network. It is breaking news. Alan Wilson, the Attorney General of South Carolina, has just secured President Trump's endorsement to be our next governor of South Carolina. It is a great day, and it's a great day for MAGA world, and here's why. Alan Wilson almost lost his law license for fighting all the way up to the Supreme Court when the election was stolen against President Trump. He put his law license on the line, and he had to spend $300,000 out of his own pocket to keep his law license. He was almost removed by the Supreme Court from his position as sitting Attorney General of South Carolina. And he is the only Attorney General across America that has fought to that extent where it almost cost him everything. But Alan Wilson just recently jailed, unfortunately, a Republican who was trafficking children and child pornography and jailed him and put him decades behind prison. So if it's law and order, baby, South Carolina, this is what we do. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. You're still in elections, Alan's going to come after you.
So how is this going to...
trafficking children, you're going to be jailed.
How is this going to affect Pamela Yvette's campaign now?
Landslide, because right now, the White House yesterday, I was told by sources, they conduct their own investigation on what's really happening here, and they found out he was winning by 62% over the Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Yvette. Now, here's why this is significant, is I think that, well, the polls is just going to skyrocket. This may be, after all said and done, an 80-20% victory for Alan Wilson. after we're all said and done. Now, here's why it's significant. McMaster, our current governor, he's always won, and he dominated 80% all times. But this is his pick. But this is going to reshuffle the cards of power here in this state. And I want to say something that's very important. Now, the reason why Trump is so loyal to our governor McMaster here in South Carolina is because he was the first governor to endorse President Trump in 2016 out of all the governors, sitting governors across our country. However, McMaster has went against President Trump more than once on his endorsed candidates for Congress, and he has actually outright beaten Trump on his record. So the locals here and across the state question McMaster's loyalty to President Trump through and through. But overall, he's a good governor. He's a good conservative governor, but he hasn't been loyal in time of need, and he postures quite a bit. But what we're getting here in Alan Wilson is someone who's going to take the country by firestorm. Also, here's another interesting fact. Alan Wilson is a combat veteran. He was suffered by an IED explosion. But you know what I go to find out? Jeff Landry from Illinois, the governor of Illinois, the governor of Louisiana, he served along with him in the National Guard in Iraq. They were both blown up together. So I just think that this is going to be such a historical win because it's the first time ever we have two battle buddies in combat that are now sitting governors in the United States. Wow. We have Jeff Landry from Louisiana, and we have South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson. So whoever wins, the primary here is almost guaranteed to be our next governor. And credit to Gary Franchi, Gary, you as host of Next News Network, because you're the one who went against all. Sometimes we have to call our Republicans, and Pamela has been taking donors money from people that supports DEI. One of her donors assaulted another Alan Wilson supporter at her political event, which eventually he was arrested. He was charged with third-degree battery. But when Gary and I looked into the family, bios and everything on Facebook, I mean, we seen this boy unfortunately been cross-dressed. He's been groomed to be queer ever since the early age of 16 years old. And this is all according to his own mom's Facebook. And it's like, do we want a governor that comes in our state and our Republican Party has friends like this? No, I think it's very clear what our conservative values are. We're very much straight shooters. We believe in, God, country, liberty, limited government, freedom, and just if you're born a man, let's keep it that way. If you're born a girl, let's keep it that way. If you want to do anything else, it's your business. It's not for our government to really intervene, and don't force it down our throats. And it's just, you have a lot of these times, you get conservatives, man, it smells like us, looks like us, walks like us, but I'm telling you, they have these hidden skeletons, and sometimes the skeletons need to come out so we can know who we really have, because we could have gotten a governor here that that is sympathetic towards that type of lifestyle. And call me old tradition, call me what you want, but I think everyone in Next News Network, that's why you have 2 million subscribers, and it's going up every single day, because we all just want to keep our simple way of life and keep common sense. Common sense is it's almost a lost. It's almost a lost gem in America, man. And I just don't want my kids to, be learning from a governor that thinks these type of private lifestyles or even public lifestyles is okay. We like the idea that UFC is fighting, at the 250th birthday. Can you imagine in Biden's administration? It probably would have been a drag show. And
they did.
Governors supporting that.
They did have a drag show. And they did have transgender people at the White House. That was a whole nightmare. But, Michael, thank you for the update. I've got to get on to my next segment for the show. Sure. Really appreciate the good news, and keep us updated.
I always will. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye. All right, well, that's good news. We heard whispers of that there was going to be a Trump endorsement of Alan Wilson's campaign in South Carolina, and certainly it happened. And I'll say it, yes, we probably had a small role to play in that. Anyway, I'm not going to toot my own horn too loud, but yeah, sometimes you got to step out and you got to make some noise, and we made some noise. And of course, because the White House watches all of our content, it was brought to the attention of the president, who recognized what was going on there and made the call to endorse Alan Wilson today. So anyway, we got to get into our first topic now, and going to jump into what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard. On her final day as Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard didn't coast out the door with a handshake and a lay. She dropped files that say Anthony Fauci provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab, then worked with politicized career leadership inside the intelligence community to suppress the truth and lied to Congress while under oath in 2024. I'm going to say that again. The final day, maximum transparency, full blast, and suddenly every smug lecture about the science sounds like a confession because of Gabbard's receipts hold, and she says they do. The biggest COVID lie in America just blew wide open. And the story matters because COVID didn't just wreck headlines. It wrecked lives. Anthony Fauci and the machine around him used your money, sent it into a communist Chinese lab, then buried the origin story while families got locked inside their homes, businesses got gutted, churches got silenced, kids got masked, and dissenters got smeared like criminals. And content we were producing got wiped from existence. And that is the stake, not abstract intel gossip. Your country, your family, and your freedom. Tulsi Gabbard says Fauci manipulated intelligence assessments, hid the lab leak truth, and lied under oath in 2024. The legacy media, they did the cleanup. And when President Trump said, it comes from China, I want to be accurate, the media cartel called them racist because their job was not truth. Their job was protection. Democrats doubled down in 2024 with a staff report claiming there was absolutely no evidence Fauci lied about funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan. Now, that defense lies in ruins. Trump was right, Fauci was lying, and the regime knew it. You see, Wuhan taught millions of Americans not to hand their bodies over to the same cartel that lied about origins. And that's why red light therapy hit home for me. I saw the Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson clip on light-based therapies. And when Gibson said the stuff works, I paid attention. Then Jonathan Otto pointed me towards it. And in my own family, I watched content discovered and anxiety give way to real restful sleep, better energy, improved recovery. And these FDA-cleared devices use red and near-infrared wavelength for cellular level support, and also support circulation and reduce inflammation. NASA-backed research helped put this on the map. MyRedLight.com has PMF mats, infrared heat, full body coverage, and at-home use that beats paid sessions. Go to MyRedLight.com. Use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. Real healing terrifies the corrupt gatekeepers. And here is the detail that should make every American's blood boil. Gabbard's release says that officials were examining the possibility of a lab-produced variant and an accidental infection in Wuhan far earlier than the public got told. Far earlier. While you got censored for saying the words lab leak, people inside the system already circled it as a live possibility. That means this was not confusion. It was suppression. And we're going to throw up some of the tweets from Tulsi Gabbard because the country sees exactly what Anthony Fauci and his protectors did. This is the post that has been rocking the internet all day today. Today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents exposing how Dr. Fauci provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab, worked with Politicized elements within the intelligence community suppressed the truth about his actions and hide the virus, lab leak origins, and lied to Congress while under oath. It's time you know the truth. And she released this video. We're going to play it for you. But I got specifically attacked by BuzzFeed for bringing this very thing up. Oh, they smeared me. They attacked me. Oh, man. So angry. So angry. Let's go to Tulsi Gabbard with this revelation.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives. Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to big pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that he funded using taxpayer dollars, all of this in a deliberate attempt to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions. Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available. Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, the intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration. Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts, while deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop there. He blatantly lied to Congress under oath during his 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, denying that he ever spoke to any intelligence agency about COVID. Now, the correspondence I'm releasing today directly contradicts his sworn testimony. Now, we received statements from multiple whistleblowers revealing that the intelligence analysts who dared to challenge Dr. Fauci's COVID origin conclusions faced threats of retaliation, marginalization, and many suffered career setbacks. For example, a contractor was terminated just days after coming forward to ODNI as a whistleblower. Another example, those who advocated for the lab leak hypothesis or expressed dissenting views were reminded by their managers that leadership would determine which analysts would be promoted and which would not. The message was clear: go along or be punished. Senior leaders also sought to undermine whistleblowers by removing anonymity, which is required in the whistleblower process, as they made their complaints, and also insisting that their managers or attorneys be present during OD&I meetings where these whistleblowers were coming forward with their testimony, obviously creating an atmosphere of intimidation. The COVID pandemic caused tremendous hardship and pain for millions of our fellow Americans and countless people around the world. And after years of lies and censorship and cover-ups, the American people deserve transparency, truth, and accountability. The tactics that were used to hide the truth are straight from the deep state playbook. Politicized self-serving leaders like Dr. Fauci covered up their own wrongdoing and abuses of power, manipulated intelligence, lied to Congress, and undermined a duly elected president by restricting his access to the vital facts he needed to keep the country safe. It's time you know the truth.
Okay, I'm trying my best to keep my composure here. And I'm going to show you something, guys. I'm going to show you something here. That this is the actual article that was used to smear me. Past coronavirus research grants are being used to smear Anthony Fauci. That was posted April 29th, 2020. The National Institutes of Health has given millions of dollars to scientists studying coronaviruses. That funding didn't cause the COVID pandemic. They're calling it misleading. Oh, BuzzFeed has reporters across 5 continents bringing you trustworthy stories about the impact of coronavirus. So, right-wing media and conspiracy theorists have seized on a series of grants awarded over the course of 6 years to study coronaviruses to undermine Dr. Anthony Fauci. So, that's the opening line there. They cite the Daily Mail. They cite Rudy Giuliani. And then keep scrolling and you'll get to me. Here it says they went after Matt Gaetz. Here. Representative Matt Gaetz and Newsweek may have also perpetuated the falsely shaded narrative, but the most popular piece of content about the grants came from Next News Network, a YouTube channel known for circulating baseless claims, including a fabricated story about President Bill Clinton assaulting a teenager. Hosted by commentator and conspiracy theorist Gary Franchi, the channel has over 1 million subscribers and surpassed 1 billion views in December, according to Forbes. Yes, we've been attacked by Forbes too. On April 19th, the Next News Network posted a video about the grants, which has received over 2.3 million views. In it, osteopath, the late Rashid Buttar, drew a direct line between the grant, Fauci, and pandemic. According to YouTube, the video did not violate the social media company's policies. Is Fauci directly responsible for this pandemic? Franchi asked Buttar in the clip. I'm going to say this. I've seen some petitions going around. Buttar responded. I think he's a criminal. He's going against the law. He's going against the government. Franchi told BuzzFeed News he was asking Buttar to clarify his belief that Fauci worked with coronaviruses led to the pandemic. He added, the video as a whole revolves around President Trump responding to a reporter that he's investigating the widely reported $3.7 million sent to Wuhan in 2015 by NIH to continue coronavirus research after a moratorium was placed on such research in the United States and Dr. Fauci's involvement with the funding of that research. In addition to spreading conspiracy theories about the pandemic, Buttar has a history of action against him. So, they go on to smear Buttar. Yep. How's that for truthful news from BuzzFeed? In light of Tulsi Gabbard's bomb that she's dropping as she's walking out the door. You could see the work we did so long ago. Oh, the conspiracy theorists were right again, weren't we? Oh, it makes me so angry. But finally, we have justice prevailing yet again. All right, so I got more to get to on this topic, but there you have Gabbard putting Fauci and the intel bureaucracy on the spot with documents and whistleblowers next. We flash back to the media mob attacking Trump, saying the virus came from China. Never forget the media's role, and I just presented you BuzzFeed's role against me. We went from Trump doesn't know where COVID came from and is a racist for calling it the China virus to it came from a Fauci-funded lab in China. But the info was removed during a 2 a.m. meeting to lie to Americans.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
It comes from China. So Trump said it plain while the press tried to shame him into silence. Now we go from that briefing room fight to the Wuhan lab, and the money trail, Gabbard says, led back to Fauci. Fauci gave millions, New York Post, Fauci gave millions in taxpayer dollars to fund Wuhan lab research that sparked COVID. High-risk research in Wuhan paid for with American tax dollars. Next, Rand Paul weighs in after years of warning about overseas NIH funding and the wall of secrecy around it. He says, my investigations exposed NIH funding for risky research overseas and uncovered a pattern of evasion and secrecy. The American people deserve full transparency about COVID's origins and who knew what and when. Accountability should not have an expiration date. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, for her leadership and service in pursuing the truth, even when it wasn't politically convenient. So Rand Paul says accountability doesn't expire, and that's why Fauci belongs in prison immediately. All right? Do not pass go. Report directly to prison. But he's got an auto pen pardon, so that becomes a little bit of a problem. So let's go back to one of the clashes that made the fight impossible to ignore. Paul versus Fauci face-to-face in the Senate.
Until you accept it, until you accept responsibility, we're not going to get anywhere close to trying to prevent another lab leak of this dangerous sort of experiment. You won't admit that it's dangerous, and for that lack of judgment, I think it's time that you resign.
Thank you, Senator Paul. And I would like to give the time to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, well, there were so many things that are egregious misrepresentation here, Madam Chair, that I don't think I'd be able to refute all of them, but just a couple of them for the listeners to hear for. You have said that I am unwilling to take any responsibility for the current pandemic. I have no responsibility for the current pandemic. The current pandemic, okay? Number two, you said the overwhelming amount of evidence indicates that's a lab leak. I believe most card-carrying viral phylogenists and molecular virologists would disagree with you that is much more likely, even though we leave open all possibilities, it's much more likely that this was a natural occurrence. Third.
Oh, man, that guy lying right there. Fauci called Paul egregiously incorrect and tried to brush the whole thing aside, but the next clip is the exchange conservatives will never forget, with Paul accusing Fauci of obfuscating the truth about Wuhan.
Pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That is
you
not.
Can't get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one.
Yeah. So that was Rand Paul refusing to let Fauci dance around the funding question. Next, the internet boils it down with a meme hitting the accusation at the center of the story. Follow the science, follow the money. If you follow the science, where does it go? Right to Fauci's bank account. And that lands because millions of Americans stopped buying Fauci's Saint Act a long time ago. Now here's what Democrats were saying in 2024 when they insisted there was no evidence he lied about funding gain-of-function research at Wuhan.
Majority colleagues have spent time and taxpayer dollars fishing for evidence to back up their most extreme members' claims about Dr. Fauci. That's why today, select subcommittee Democrats are releasing a staff report debunking point-by-point Republicans' dangerous narrative that Dr. Fauci somehow funded research that started the COVID-19 pandemic, lied about it, and orchestrated a campaign to cover it up. And to make it absolutely crystal clear, The claim that Dr. Fauci was somehow personally responsible for the creation of the COVID-19 pandemic is completely unsubstantiated.
Oh, shut up. You belong in prison too, pal. So the Democrats try to run cover, call the whole thing unsubstantiated. Next, we move to the talking points where the documents making the rounds from the Gabbard release on the possible lab origin. From the Gabbard files, position paper about the possible origin. The authors of the investigation assert that the coronavirus was created in the laboratory of special pathogens and biosafety in the city of Wuhan to demonstrate to the USA the outstanding results achieved by Chinese scientists in the study of viruses. Following the accidental infection of the indicated laboratory researcher, the infection spread, causing the epidemic. The PRC officially refutes the indicated information. However, the authorities of China, upon the appearance of the first cases of COVID, when still nothing, it was officially known, when I'm still freaking pissed. When still nothing was officially known about the disease, took unprecedented measures for the non-admission of the propagation of the infection, declaring total quarantine, the notification of the population regarding the danger of infection, also the elimination of unnecessary witnesses. This is coming. This is all here. This is the document right here. Oh my God. That's from Zero Hedge. The document adds more fuel to what the media and the swamp spent years trying to bury. Meanwhile, the reaction online is turning even broader, with MAGA voices saying this wasn't just about COVID. It was another deep state op against Trump. I'm sick to my freaking stomach reading Tulsi Gabbard's declassified bombshells. They laid out the entire treasonous plot, weaponizing the Zelensky phone call to impeach Trump, with Rudy Giuliani squarely in the crosshairs next. This wasn't politics. It was a straight-up coup by corrupt deep state actors to overthrow the will of the American people. These people belong in prison for this shit. Deeply disturbing and downright terrifying. So the fury is now stopping with the intel agencies. Next, another blunt conservative reaction zeroes in on Fauci. Planet of memes. Anthony Fauci belongs in prison for the rest of his life, as well as the legacy media, talking heads, and the other people who ran cover for him, including social media. Now the rhetoric gets hotter. A viral post calling Fauci something far darker over the death toll from COVID. He's the most prolific serial killer of all time. And they post a fake People ad, of People magazine cover. Anthony Fauci, the most prolific serial killer of all time. The post captured the rage from Americans who believed they were lied to from day one. Now we turn to Fox coverage of the Gabbard release, including the allegation that Fauci lied under oath and that analysts were punished for dissent.
To where COVID really came from. Well, I was just going through these documents, and they include intelligence assessments, internal emails, whistleblower allegations, and grant documents tied to COVID research in China. Now, Gabbard says their records show U.S. taxpayer dollars funded COVID research involving scientists at the Wuhan lab, which is a key focus of the lab leak debate for years.
Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives.
The documents also show government officials and intelligence analysts were seriously examining the possibility of a lab accident much earlier than many Americans realized. One 2020 government assessment concluded the conditions for an accidental release existed in Wuhan before the start of the pandemic. Now, the release also includes whistleblower allegations that intelligence analysts who supported the lab leak theory faced career consequences. Now, one of the most explosive claims out of these documents is that Fauci allegedly lied under oath during his 2024 congressional testimony.
The accusation being circulated that I influenced these scientists to change their minds by bribing them with millions of dollars in grant money is absolutely false and simply preposterous.
And Fox has reached out to Fauci through the Georgetown Global Health Institute. We are still waiting for comment, Martha.
Brooke, thank you.
Yeah, still waiting. We're going to be waiting for a while. Next comes another question that raises eyebrows by itself. Why was Fauci reportedly pushing for a pardon right before power changed hands? Nick Shirley posting, according to the current pardon attorney for the U.S., Anthony Fauci was begging for a pardon literally minutes before the change of power on January 20th. In the morning of the inauguration, Fauci was emailing the Biden administration for a pardon. What crimes did Fauci commit?
You're the United States pardon attorney.
Yes, sir.
Just before Biden left office, literally a few.
Sorry.
You're the United States pardon attorney.
Yes, sir.
Just before Biden left office, literally a few hours before, he started signing a lot of pardons.
Correct.
One
Well,
of those,
sort of. The auto pen started signing a lot of pardons. Go ahead. Yeah.
and one of those people was Anthony Fauci.
Yes.
What's the truth about
Well, look, I mean, one thing.
Anthony Fauci's pardon?
Well, one thing you started out, let me just explain to folks. The pardon power is in the Constitution, and it basically says, I'm summarizing, the president can pardon anybody he wants for any reason he wants. There's not a procedure set up. There's not a system. It's really the founders knew that there were times where you needed to write something that was wrong or do something you wanted, and that's what they gave them. So is that any president can pardon anybody. With regard to the end of a term, Biden was in a rush down the stretch, or his staff was, and they were pardoning all kinds of people. They did all kinds of commutations at the last minute, all with the auto pen. The only signature on pardons that you see with a wet pen is Hunter Biden, which was signed at Thanksgiving. All the rest are auto pen, which begs another question. But most importantly, you can see, and these are email exchanges where Dr. Fauci's lawyer is saying, will there be pardons for Fauci? And then in the morning of January 20th, and just in time for the change of the presidency, Fauci got his pardon. And you have to accept, under American law, the one thing the Supreme Court has said is you have to accept the pardon. So Fauci immediately had his lawyer say, I accept the pardon, and sent that in. So they were very aware that they needed that, and they wanted it.
Oh, yeah, they wanted it. They wanted it bad. So after the accusations about lies and cover up, the pardon story hits real hard. And now we close with Tulsi Gabbard herself walking out of ODNI for the last time. God, she was a good one. She was really a good one, guys. I just walked out of ODNI for the last time. Thank you, President Trump. I remain grateful for the profound honor of serving the American people and our nation as the Director of National Intelligence. DNI Gabbard, out. Well, she was such a threat to them, guys. Such a threat. So, the ugliest line in this entire story is not technical jargon about coronaviruses. It is Anthony Fauci telling Rand Paul flat out, I have no responsibility for the current pandemic. No responsibility. After Tulsi Gabbard says he provided millions in taxpayer dollars to the Wuhan lab, worked with politicized intelligence lifers to suppress the truth, and lied to Congress while under oath in 2024. That line curdles into something far darker than arrogance. Anthony Fauci did not just bankroll reckless research. He helped build the lie that trapped the country inside fear, censorship, and ruin. And the media priests who barked at Trump for saying China didn't miss the truth. They buried it on purpose, and they did it to me. So here is where this is now. The Attorney General should not let this rot inside a file cabinet. Congress should drag out Anthony Fauci back under oath. Every intelligence bureaucrat who helped massage assignments and assessments to protect him should get named. Every Democrat who swore there was absolutely no evidence should answer for that lie in public on camera, with dates and documents on the table. And Rand Paul nailed the standard tonight. Accountability should not have an expiration date. Tulsi Gabbard honored President Trump's transparency mandate to the very end. And she just handed the country a test. Do we prosecute the people who funded the scandal, hid the origin, and buried the truth tellers? Or do we let the cartel wash itself clean again? Drop your verdict in the comments. Send this to the last person who still thinks Fauci was a hero. And keep your eyes on this one. This story does not end with the declassification. It ends with consequences. And I want to make sure you stay connected with me when the news drops. Notifications aren't showing up. We're getting buried under countless cat videos and MSNBC and CNN spin. That's why I set up this number for you. Text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how we stay connected and bypass the algorithmic suppression. And make sure you celebrate all the wins with America 250 merch at the merch shelf below this video, or go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Oh man, yeah, that one. That one is personal for me. I know it's personal for a lot of you guys too. I mean, how many people do you know that are no longer on this planet because of what happened in 2020? How many people? How many people lost their jobs, their businesses? Oh, man. And the absolute outright suppression, censorship, smears. Oh, man, they smeared me all day long when I was broadcasting the truth. Okay, speaking of broadcasting the truth, we're going to kind of shift gears a little bit here. And we're going to talk about all this drama about the frickin' reflecting pool. But the memes are just glorious. CNN actually sent a crew to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, scooped up a water sample, and took it to a pool store like they were busting Watergate. A pool store. For a 6.5 million gallon reflecting pool. That is the level of regime media desperation that we're dealing with. While crews pumped out dead algae, blasted ozone into the water, and ran hydro vacuums to clear years of Democrat neglect, CNN pushed breathless talk about green water and made up a made-up Trump algae fiasco. Then it got uglier. Park police opened an investigation into an 8647 inscription in the pool. Surveillance towers went up, and guards locked in 24/7. Ask yourself, why does CNN chase algae harder than vandalism and threats? You see, this matters because CNN did not just embarrass itself. CNN ran a live-action psyop designed to staple years of Washington decay onto Donald Trump at the exact moment Trump is restoring the nation's front yard. That scam protects the people who let the Capitol rot in the first place. Under the Biden administration and Democrat rule in Washington, filth piled up, standards cratered, and public space turned into a monument to managed decline. Now Trump cleans it, and CNN suddenly discovers forensic zeal. Omar Jimenez can joke about a mostly peaceful Trump algae bloom in the memes, right? And warn Americans to mask up over 0 cases, but CNN never brought this kind of obsessive energy to migrant fraud, child trafficking at the border, violent illegal invaders, or the less chemical and surgical war on children. They independently took a water sample, consulted a pool store, and lectured the country on phosphate levels in a 6.5 million gallon of water pool. That's not journalism. That is opposition research with a camera crew. And while CNN plays chemists, Park Police and the National Guard, they stand watch around a memorial because Trump derangement syndrome escalated into vandalism, a carved 8647 threat, and men prowling the pool with tools and buckets. And when CNN starts trusting a pool store more than common sense, I stick with results I can feel. After trying hundreds of supplements, only C60 Evo hit like this. Brain fog gone, joint pain virtually eliminated, more energy, clearer thinking, better skin. My wife's skin looks 10 years younger. My energy feels 20 years younger. Okay? C60 Evo is a Nobel Prize winning molecule, not just another antioxidant. It works at the cellular level where aging actually happens. And the Paris study delivered the longest life extension in history. Lab animals live 90% longer. This stuff is 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. It's worth more than gold per ounce. And the Houston lab's been making this since 1991. Get exclusive savings at c60evo.com/NNN. Use code NNN at checkout. Real science beats pool store theater and regime theater. And here's where the detail that CNN and the left can't spin away. Well, the camera's fixated on green water. Somebody carved 8647 into the sealant at the pool. Not a joke, not performance art. Park police launched an investigation. Mobile surveillance towers went up, and officers plus the National Guard locked the site down around the clock. So when we throw some of these tweets on the screen, keep in mind one thing. The people screaming about algae stayed awfully quiet about the threat, sabotage, and vandalism at the National Memorial. Planet of Memes just nailing it with this. All right? The beautiful meme here. Let's go live to CNN national correspondent Omar Jimenez for an update about the Trump algae bloom disaster.
Coming to you live from Washington at the mostly peaceful Trump algae bloom at the reflecting pool. As you can see, the water remains green as the men work. Total cases of Trump algae syndrome remain at 0, but at this point, it's not a matter of if, but when. Mask up and stay safe out there.
Yeah, mask up and stay safe out there. So that's the meme. The mockery gets even sharper with this meme, a full CNN news studio floating in the reflecting pool. CNN's to set up a permanent floating news studio on the reflecting pool in Washington to bring you the latest breaking algae news. That's basically what it is, right? You see, the joke lands because CNN really did treat this as a national emergency. Next, you'll see them hauling off water samples and taking it to a pool store for their so-called independent investigation.
We're going to scoop up a water sample to see if we can get this tested.
CNN independently took the sample of water and consulted with a pool store that regularly tests water to help read the results. It showed phosphate levels far higher than what is recommended to keep algae at bay based on estimates for a pool that holds 6.5 million gallons of water.
If there's already some phosphate fertilizer in the water, that's really opportunistic, especially for the blue-green algae that can fix nitrogen. So they are having a field day out here, probably.
The Department of
Oh, you think that's it, right? So it gets even more absurd as their crew starts inspecting the sealant and narrating every flap like it's Watergate.
We've been very careful here not to pull at this because we don't want to, make anything worse. But this is just a loose flap of what appears to be that sealant down here in the water, just flapping like that. There have been tourists coming along, tearing off pieces to take as souvenirs. Now, did they cause this problem? I don't know. Maybe. Did they exacerbate it? Maybe. And we don't have proof exactly that is the sealant we're talking about, but it sure looks like it. And the progress on the algae out here, they are working very hard, and it is very slow. They're pumping oxygen into the water in form of ozone to try to break up the chemical process that forms these algae blooms very commonly this time of year in Washington, D.C. And they're using these sort of water vacuums out here, hydro vacuums, to suck up a lot of the green algae. But we don't know. It could be forming again behind them because it's basically microscopic in spore form. What we do know is that all the tourists who are coming by are seeing a lot of it. Listen to what they say.
It looks bad. I just say green.
Yeah, CNN, man. Next one, they point to what looks like a deliberate cut. Somebody caught this video that looks like they sent a GoPro down underneath. Looks like a clean cut, someone vandalizing the reflecting pool. So the cut was intentional. It stops being a maintenance story and it starts looking like sabotage. Now comes the response. Park police investigating an 8647 inscription as security ramps up around the pool. United States Park Police investigating 8647 on the sealant of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Etched into the pool itself. Exhortor getting the footage there. Trump derangement syndrome has no bounds. So the vandalism concerns weren't just online. Police and surveillance are now in the mix. CNN just kept pushing the visual pointing to green discharge and claiming officials weren't telling the truth.
And I do want to show you, this is the output from what's going on over there, and you can see it is clearly green. This is the water that the federal officials are saying is absolutely clear and perfect at this point. It very clearly is not. It takes no walking around at all here to see all the debris in the water, the continued presence of algae. Can they get it under control? Maybe they can, but currently they do not have it under control. And whether they can get it done by July 4th, we'll see.
Breathlessly, CNN zooming in on the runoff to keep the smear alive. Crews out there doing the actual cleanup. Here shows the dead algae being pumped out in plain view. So even with crews draining the mess, the anti-Trump media machine keeps reaching for the cheap shots Patriot takes, tries to mock Trump's own reflecting pool themed post. Trump posted this to his Truth Social. Yeah, that sums it up, right? Filling the reflecting pool with liberal tears. Next, a clip reports a man arrested after allegedly cutting and ripping up the new sealant.
A man jumped in the reflecting pool today with all these crowds around, cut out a huge piece of the blue sealant, and tried to get away, but he was arrested.
So the arrest gives the sabotage claims a lot more weight, and now there's another late-night police encounter. A suspicious man detained near the pool carrying a pitchfork and a bucket. Last night, U.S. Park Police detained a suspicious man. It's unclear what the man was planning on doing with his pitchfork and bucket, but it's certainly not a regular sight at the pool. So with arrest, detentions, and threats around the pool, the whole thing is attracting some bizarre attention somehow. It gets even stranger with a Team Algae cheer squad showing up on the scene.
Algae smarter than MAGA! Algae smarter than MAGA! Algae smarter than MAGA! Algae smarter than MAGA!
Algae's better than MAGA. So after the clown show, let's shift to something that actually shows American strength. The next clip, U.S. Air Force confirming the VC-25B has arrived at Joint Base Andrews. This is the new Air Force One that has now officially arrived for President Trump to use. So from algae theater to real presidential optics, now you get the money shot. Trump makes the inaugural exit from the new Air Force One.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And I'm proud to be, and I'm...
President Trump emerging from the new Air Force One. Absolutely beautiful, in contrast to the destruction of the leftists trying to destroy America's symbols. President Trump reviving every single one of them. He had his remarks, wasn't just a photo op. Trump wanted to make clear what it represents. He lays out exactly why this new Air Force One is bigger, faster, and built to project American power.
Our pilots, designers, and engineers prepared an aircraft that is the largest Air Force One ever built. It flies further and faster than any Air Force One. Those are the giant engines. Those are incredible engines. It's the fastest. Flies further. You don't have to stop for fuel every few hours. You maybe will never have to stop for fuel. It's got, they call it unlimited. Well, it's pretty close to unlimited, and which is among the most beautiful aircrafts the Air Force will ever see or operate. You'll never have this opportunity again, and I want to thank everybody involved, including Tamim. But every man and woman here today should be incredibly proud of what we've all achieved, because this is representative of our country. Now when we land at airports in London and in Germany and different places. Nobody tops this one, and that's the way we have to have it for our country. Nobody even comes close.
So Trump is talking performance range in a plane no one else can match. Then he gets to the look itself, explaining why the new colors are red, white, and blue.
We had it all painted up, and these are the new colors, red, white, and blue. And we like the baby blue, but it was time for a change. And this is the sleekest line. Everything was designed good. It was my taste, I will say. He said, what color do you like? I said, I like the color of the American flag, right? That makes sense. So we have that, and all of the planes in the fleet are being changed into this look, which is a much better look and a more appropriate look.
Red, white, and blue. Classic Trump, pride and American flag front and center. We close with the president on the move, departing for Camp David like a machine for the weekend. Our Commander-in-Chief heading to Camp David for the weekend. So the most revealing line in this entire circus came when CNN bragged that it independently took the sample of water and consulted with a pool store. That sentence should end every pretense. Okay, Jeff Zucker built this culture. The CNN machine still runs on the same rotten fuel. Manufacture panic, slap Trump's name on it, and pray viewers forget who caused the mess. They turned routine cleanup into a national scandal pitch while crews were already pumping out dead algae, injecting ozone, and dragging hydro vacuums across the pool. Then real derangement hit the scene, an 8647 inscription. Surveillance towers, park police, National Guard, a man detained with a pitchfork and a bucket. Another man arrested after cutting and ripping Trump's blue sealant. CNN chasing algae, patriots spotting the sabotage. Donald Trump, he's cleaning up American symbols, and the regime media can't stand the contrast. They watch him restore the mall, restore the memorial grounds, restore pride, even roll out a brand new Air Force One in the colors of the American flag. So what did CNN do? CNN crouched by the reflecting pool with a sample cup and a pool store test like a parody of a newsroom. That's where the old order sits now. Filming dead algae, ignoring vandals, and trying to sell national decline as Trump's fault after the Democrats let the place decay for years. Park police need to finish the 8647 investigation. The National Park Service needs to identify every vandal who touched that sealant, and CNN deserves every ounce of ridicule that it earned. If this segment lit you up, pass it along, and drop your take below, and make these propagandists watch the country laugh at them. Trump restores, they smear. America sees the difference. And you'll see the difference too when you text raw feed to 844-840-4963. The difference is you're actually going to be informed. When the notifications never arrive and the algorithm continues to bury us, you're going to stay connected with me. I'll send you a text message once a night. You'll get all the news you need to catch up on the day. Very simple. Raw feed, text at 844-840-4963. And celebrate these wins right now with the Next News Network. We got some America 250 gear. It is in the merch shelf below this video or at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, where are we going from here, Brian? Okay, we got CNN, and now we're going. Oh, we got to talk about what happened at the Biden thing at the Obama Center. Oh yeah, that was embarrassing. And then once we have that, we're going to talk about what's going on with the DOJ and the MLB. We'll give you the latest on Iran, and this bizarre story about Trader Joe's today. Yeah, it wasn't on my bingo card, but mass hysteria all day at Trader Joe's. We'll tell you why in a moment. The event was over. People were already mingling, and Joe Biden still stood at the podium, stranded, while Jill Biden had to march back out and retrieve him. That image came out of Barack Obama's big Chicago Vanity Gala, and it said more than every speech on that stage. Then Biden blurts the line that sealed it. "Where's my granddaughter?" That's the party lecturing you about competence, democracy, and decency. A $1 billion monument to ego. A senile ex-president wandering in public. And Barack Obama center stage still pulling strings behind the curtain. Wait till you hear the line Obama used to smear America's founders at his own celebration. This matters because Chicago did not just host an embarrassing Democrat reunion. Barack Obama exposed the operating system of the entire Democrat apparatus in one event. They built a near $1 billion monument around a man who still trashes the nation that made him, still agitates the activist class, and still expects working Americans to bow. Obama stood at his own event and declared the founders fell terribly short, and then hammered the oldest leftist line about the franchise being limited to white men who own property. He used a personal shrine to keep poisoning the country against its own roots. Then the hypocrisy got even uglier. The Obama Presidential Center required ID at the gate while Democrats still fight voter ID for American elections. Same ruling class, double standards every time. Papers for you when elites want control, chaos for the ballot when Democrats want power. And hanging over that spectacle sat the ugliest charge of all. Black subcontractors tied to this nearly $1 billion project say they got stiffed, pushed towards bankruptcy, while Obama's celebrity machine partied under the lights. That's why smart Americans prepare for disruption instead of trusting the same elite machine that can't even run a stage exit. And if stores went dark tonight, do you have a month of food at home? If not, go to preparewithgary.com. Our friends over there at My Patriot Supply, they're America's #1 preparedness company with over 3 million satisfied customers. And right now, their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply comes with an additional week of food free. This is the best long-term storable food you can find. You can get real meals made with real ingredients, no artificial flavors or colors, at least 2,000 calories a day, and a shelf life measured in decades. These are the most trusted folks in the business, so grab your free week of emergency food now. Depend on yourself, not Obama's broken machine. Now here's the detail that just twists the knife. While Joe Biden drifted around that stage and Jill had to come back to collect him, Barack Obama used the same event to praise ordinary people who risk their own safety standing shoulder to shoulder for strangers. That's not some Hallmark line. In this climate, with leftist mobs targeting ICE and law enforcement, Barack Obama knew exactly who he was flattering. And we're going to show you all the receipts because the crowd caught with the legacy media tried to blur senility on stage, incitement at the mic, and arrogance everywhere else. And of course, the memes. You got to love the memes. Garbage presidential library for a garbage president.
Time to clean up this mess. Get in there, Obama. You're garbage. Done.
Cleaning up America, one garbage legacy at a time.
One garbage legacy at a time. So, that meme, it was pure mockery, but the real embarrassment came from the event itself. Now look at the photo showing Biden still at the podium after the program ended with Jill coming back out to retrieve him. Jonathan Martin snapped this image from the Obama library opening. He says, I describe it in my column lead, but you need to zoom in to take it all in. The event is over, but Joe Biden is taking the podium. Jill Biden coming back out from backstage to retrieve him. Okay, so you can see, look at Jill. We'll zoom in. There she is. Hey, Joe? Joe, where are you at, Joe? Oh, hey, I'm over here. They just left him out there on stage. Absolutely, I mean, it's pure Joe Biden. So Biden wasn't just lingering, he was getting left behind while the Democrat crowd moved on. Next to see the full stage lineup and why critics say the party look old, confused, and completely out of gas. This is all they've got. Biden lost and wandering, Jill dancing drunk, Bill Clinton staring off, Michelle Obama towering over everyone, Hillary hiding under a giant hat like she's embarrassed to be there. The party is full of drunks, nursing home residents, Epstein flight loggers, and even Michelle Obama. Yeah, look at them all. Even George Bush looks confused. He doesn't know whether to dance, and everyone else is getting down. Sure. So the stage shot sums up the Democrat bench in one frame, but outside the gala glow, there was another ugly question. Why does the Obama library demand ID at the door while Democrats still fight voter ID? Obama Presidential Library requires an ID to get in, but not an ID to vote in our elections.
An ID to get in, but outside the gates, different scene. Apparently, Obama stiffed the black subcontractors who built this stone slab.
Some of our contractors are already in bankruptcy. That's what they're saying, that if it wasn't the fact that they worked on this Obama project, they would not be under this type of problem, filing bankruptcy for protection.
The overall monies expended on this project have now reached nearly $4 million in the red.
In what sense is celebrating Juneteenth if our black contractors are not getting their money?
Barry built a $1 billion vanity project, booked celebrities to serenade him, and didn't pay the black construction workers.
And don't forget your ID to enter. It gets worse than the ID hypocrisy. Next clip, Obama takes the mic at his own celebration and starts lecturing Americans again about the founders and the Constitution. Mask off.
Union, the founders fell terribly short of the Declaration's promise, leaving slavery intact, allowing states to restrict the franchise to white men who own property. But in drafting a Constitution and a Bill of Rights, they did have the foresight, the genius, to provide us with a framework that allows each generation to make our union more perfect. And over more than 2 centuries, through petitions and protests, marches and strikes, moral appeals from the pulpit, and conversations at the family dinner table, men and women from all walks of life, of every color, every faith, every region, took up the cause of democracy and made it their own until we, the people, came to include not just some of us, but all of us.
So while Biden looked lost, Obama was right on script, using his big night to knock the country's founding. Now watch what else he praised, including activists. He said risk their safety standing up in the streets.
In businesses that are finding new ways to make housing affordable. In those ordinary people in the Twin Cities who brave frigid temperatures, risk their own safety, standing shoulder to shoulder to look out for their neighbors and sometimes look out for strangers because they knew that was the right thing to do. I've seen it. And I've seen it in a new generation of leaders.
So that line is why so many Americans say Obama still fuels the left street politics from the sidelines. Meanwhile, the Biden chaos wasn't over, because here's the actual moment where he says, "Where's my granddaughter?" Everyone left for Joe Biden.
Look at my granddaughter.
They left the microphone on. He's still like programmed that he speaks after Barack, right? As vice president. So Biden wandering around the Obama Center was bad enough, but the contrast is coming sharper. President Trump's library project, a very different image of leadership and legacy. This was posted by Eric Trump a few months ago. absolute contrast that's going to show up in Miami. This is what a presidential library should look like. Library and museum. And from what I understand, there's even going to be a hotel attached so you can stay there. So while Obama's opening was filled with confusion and cleanup, Trump world is showing the polished version of the future. Next, the comparison gets even more direct. Two Chicago buildings, the same price tag and very different results. Both buildings cost $847 million. Both are in Chicago. Trump built one, Obama built the other. Need I say more? So that's hitting hard. But even Obama's grand opening, the media couldn't control the room because Tom Hanks took a shot at MSNBC's tiny audience live on the air.
To see you.
What can I do for the 800 people
Jacob
watching
Soboroff.
MS Now?
We're live on MS
All
Now.
right, add a zero to it if you need to.
I would say millions now that you're on our air.
All right.
How'd you do? Thanks for stopping and for adding the zero to our ratings today. Thank you so much.
I tell you, I can hear the clicks happening before my very
Thank you
eyes.
so much. Katie Tur, he did it for you.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. He has been very supportive of the press, at least in the past. Getting a new coffee machine for the White House correspondents, which I know they greatly appreciated during the first Trump administration.
He bought a coffee machine. So even the celebrity guests were clowning the corporate press at Obama's event. Shifting gears, the next clip jumps to the White House where Trump's team staged a full-blown UFC spectacle that looked like pure Americana. The White House releasing this today.
UFC fans have traveled far and wide across the United States and around the globe, all to witness history and be a part of this uniquely special mixed martial arts showcase that is UFC Freedom 250.
Freedom at the White House on Donald Trump's birthday. What an event.
Welcome to UFC Freedom 250. Here is the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
From the South Lawn of the White House, Diego Lopez preserving status. Nickel from the White House. Mauricio lighting him up in D.C. Undefeated Josh Hawkins. All eyes on Sean O'Malley. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. And look at where we are. This is insane. Ilya Topuria against the tried and true American Justin Gaethje.
These dudes are going at it.
Justin Gaethje with the ultimate career capstone at the Worlds.
One of the great upsets in the history of the sport.
On the 250th anniversary, Justin Gaethje showed that American spirit that allowed him to become a world champion.
This is the greatest night in the history of combat sports.
That was just released. So from Obama's carefully managed gala to Trump's South Lawn fight night, the contrast couldn't be clearer. And after that huge UFC event, one fighter grabbed the mic and delivered the line about Michelle Obama that's been blowing up and never gets old.
And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
Oh, I can play that on a repeat. So the cleanest comparison came from one brutal number. $847 million. Both Chicago builds cost that much. Trump built one, Obama built the other. Donald Trump's tower still dominates the skyline like a statement of American ambition. Barack Obama's center opened under a fog of unpaid worker accusations, gated elite hypocrisy, and a public scene where Joe Biden could not even find his family. The contrast is not architectural, it's moral. Donald Trump builds strength, scale, energy. Barack Obama builds grievance, lectures, and monuments to himself. Barack Obama still had the nerve to stand there and sneer at the founders while the human wreckage of his party shuffled around behind him. That's the Obama machine in 2026. Anti-American in content, exhausted in appearance, and rotten in practice. So here's the line that every normal American should draw tonight. If Barack Obama and his allies want another round of sermons about democracy, start with the workers. Pay every black subcontractor tied to that project, if the charge stands. If Democrats want to bark about election integrity, explain why Obama's monument needs ID at the door while citizens do not get ID protection at the ballot box. If Barack Obama wants to posture as a wise elder, answer for praising activists who menace ICE while President Trump restores law and order. And if the press wants to sell this Chicago circus as some glorious legacy event, run the full tape. The emptying crowd, Joe Biden frozen at the podium, Jill walking back to retrieve him, and Obama ripping the founders at his own shrine. So send this segment to one person still clinging to the myth of the Obama era. The mask slipped. The handlers look weak, and Trump's America looks stronger by the day. And it's time for you to be stronger too. And that's why I want you to text the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how we're bypassing the algorithm to bring you the truth every single night. We'll text you one time a night. We'll give you a link so you can check in, review all the content we've produced for you so that you can grow stronger every day with the truth. And celebrate America 250 by going to the merch shelf below this video or going to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, folks, where are we going from here? Okay, we're going to talk next. We've got the news on the DOJ going after the MLB. Yeah, that's happening. And you're going to find out why in a minute. Then we're going to get the latest on Iran. And then the chaos at Trader Joe's today. It's going to blow your mind. Good to see everybody here. Salty, Podhead, Exile the Knights of Malta, Tristan Dahl, good to see you too. Dawn, I see you as well. Great to have you guys joining the chat. Make sure you send this link out to your friends. Get people tuning in. Harmeet Dillon just sent Rob Manfred the letter Major League Baseball prayed nobody would read. 2 words at the top of her public blast: swing and miss. Then the kill shot. MLB welcomed Black Lives Matter patches on uniforms, but when San Francisco Giants pitchers Landon Routt, JT Brubaker, and Ryan Walker wrote Bible verses on pride hats, the Legacy League suddenly found its rulebook. See, that's not neutrality. That is a woke front office caught red-handed hammering Christians while protecting left-wing messaging. And now Trump's Justice Department just shoved MLB into an EEOC investigation. If you've ever been told to keep your faith quiet at work, this story lands right on your doorstep. This matters because every American watching knows the scam. Corporate managers, HR enforcers, and activist commissioners bark nonstop about inclusion, then snap the minute a Christian refuses to bow. Rob Manfred's MLB turned into a turned a baseball uniform into a billboard when the message served regime politics. Harmeet Dillon's June 18 letter laid it out in black and white. Title IX protects religious employees. Employers must reasonably accommodate faith, and Major League Baseball cannot hide behind a facially neutral scribble rule when it carved out room for Black Lives Matter patches before. The double standard is the whole case. And look at the scripted player, the specific player that they targeted. Landon Rupp, 27 years old, from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, wrote Genesis 9:12 through 16 next to a rainbow logo. Not a slur, not a protest chant, scripture, holy scripture. And Ryan Thompson nailed the point. Rupp was not anti-anything. He was pro-faith, pointing to the covenant of God's promise. Yet MLB treated Christian conviction like contamination. And that poison spread far beyond San Francisco. In York, Pennsylvania, the York Revolution even forfeited a game after players refused pride jerseys, then tossed $10,000 to the Rainbow Rose Center as a public act of repentance to the activist mob. That's the coercion machine that Trump is smashing. And when Rob Manfred's crowd tries to bully Christians into shrinking, I double down on things that actually strengthen us, and C60 Evo did exactly that for me with clearer thinking. I've tried hundreds of supplements. Nothing hit like this Nobel Prize-winning molecule. My brain fog gone, joint pain virtually eliminated, and my energy feels 20 years younger. My wife, her skin looks 10 years younger too. I was just talking to her about it this morning. See, this is not just another antioxidant. This works at the cellular level where aging actually happens. And the Paris study showed the longest life extension in history, with lab animals living 90% longer. It is 172 times more powerful than vitamin C, and it's worth more than gold per ounce. It's made in a Houston lab since 1991. Get exclusive savings at c60evo.com/NNN. Use code NNN at checkout. Stop apologizing and get stronger. Now here's the part that blows up MLB's excuse. The league claimed that the warning had absolutely nothing to do with the content of the message. Fine. Then explain the Black Lives Matter patches. Explain why left-wing slogans fit on a uniform, but Genesis 9:12 suddenly breaks baseball civilization. Explain why Ryan Thompson had to go on camera and spell out that the rainbow on the cap pointed to the covenant between Noah and God. We're going to pull up the reaction because the viewers instantly saw the same trap millions of Americans have faced at work. The MLB is facing a DOJ investigation for religious discrimination against Christians wearing a Bible verse on the pride caps. Welcome to Donald Trump's America, where it will not be tolerated. The Department of Justice is now investigating Major League Baseball for potential religious discrimination. The league recently warned several San Francisco Giant players against expressing their Christian faith after they wrote Bible verses on their Pride Night caps.
Ball caps have become a big controversy. The Department of Justice now investigating Major League Baseball for potential religious discrimination. The league recently warned several San Francisco Giants players against expressing their Christian faith after they wrote Bible verses on their Pride Night caps. In a letter to Commissioner Rob Manfred, the Department's Civil Rights Division writes, quote, "The Trump administration is committed to combating religious discrimination. I have referred this matter to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for further investigation." Some athletes ripping the league.
This is what we're worried about right here. Major League Baseball players wearing a hat with a Bible verse on it. That's what we worry about in a billion-dollar industry. Major League Baseball, you can suck it.
I feel like it would be similar to saying everybody should have to wear a cross on their jersey, but I would never expect that with my teammates that don't believe the same thing. At the end of the day, I think I would literally just feel like, why is this in sport?
Outkick's Clay Travis with this. MLB has a real mess here. It's not 2020 anymore.
Oh, no, it's not. So the DOJ is officially on MLB's back. Next, the basic facts, which Giant pitchers were warned and how this was kicked over to the EEOC. Justice Department investigates MLB over discipline of players who wrote Bible verses on pride hats. U.S. Justice Department referred Major League Baseball to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for potential religious discrimination after MLB warned 3 San Francisco Giants pitchers, Landon Raup, J.T. Brubaker, and Ryan Walker, for writing Bible verses on rainbow-colored caps during Pride Night on the 12th of June. So those are the 3 Giants players at the center now. Harmeet Dillon turning this into a direct civil rights fight over whether Christians were singled out. This is from Trump Daily Post, our streaming partner. Trump Assistant Attorney General Civil Rights Division Harmeet Dillon just dropped a bomb, launching a full religious discrimination probe after they attacked Christian players for Bible verses.
Against expressing their Christian faith. It comes after several San Francisco Giants players wrote Bible verses on their caps during a Pride Night promotion last week. Lucas Tomlinson straightens this out for us, I think. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Bill. Senator Josh Hawley has written a letter to Major League Baseball saying that these players are being subjected to religious discrimination after Major League Baseball players on the San Francisco Giants were criticized by Major League Baseball for writing Bible verses on their team-issued Pride Night hats during Friday night's game against the Chicago Cubs, including Landon Raup, a 27-year-old right-hander from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, who started and pitched 4 2/3 innings with Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 16 written on his cap next to the rainbow-colored team logo, as you can see there. After the game, Raup said, "There's no hate at all. It's just what I stand for and what I stand on. I believe in God." 2 relievers also made appearances in the game with Bible verses on their hats. Another took the mound without his Pride Night cap, instead wearing the traditional orange lettering. The pitchers have a supporter and Vice President J.D. Vance, who posted on X, quote, "Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore." Now, San Francisco first added Pride Night uniforms in 2021. After the game, the Giants issued a statement apologizing to the LGBTQ plus community. Major League Baseball issuing a statement saying the writing on the caps violates our rules and consistent with normal practice. We have warned the players about future violations.
I think people are tired of corporations, whether they're, in the business space or in the sports setting, forcing ideology on players in things like rainbow symbols on uniforms, as they were on some of the hats. And so the fact that players are going to react to that should be expected, and it should be honored.
Now, meanwhile, here in Washington, Bill, the Nationals are 4 games over 500 for the first time since winning the World Series.
So you heard the case against MLB's warning. Next comes the blunt political reaction from J.D. Vance. Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore. Responding to Sports Illustrated, so Vance boiling it down to new reality under Trump. Meanwhile, the fight spreading beyond the majors with a Pennsylvania team forfeiting after players refuse pride jerseys. Good. Professional baseball team York Revolution turns on their players after they were forced to forfeit after the players refused to wear LGBT jerseys for Pride Night.
The park made this announcement late last night, saying this decision was made with, quote, great disappointment. They say some of the players refused to wear the special Pride Night jersey, so this game is being treated as a rainout.
I would ask the community for understanding. Running an organization in this way, with these difficult dynamics, having to find a solution to these complex problems without a clean solution is a difficult task, and there's no good way to get everybody everything that they want. But our primary function as Wellspent Park in York, Pennsylvania, is to welcome the community in and be the most welcoming place in York.
And the Revolution says it will donate $10,000 to the Rainbow Rose Center, describing the contribution as a gesture of regret over the last-minute change and as a show of support for the LGBTQIA plus community partners.
So the York forfeit shows players are finally pushing back instead of folding. Next, an active MLB pitcher, Ryan Thompson, explains why a Bible verse on a hat is pro-faith and not anti-anyone. Diamondbacks pitcher Ryan Thompson, who's a proclaimed Christian, spoke on the MLB warning San Francisco Giant players who wrote Bible verses.
A lot of the hate comes from perceived negativity. And without getting too off track, but like the Pride Night stuff with the Giants, like I think that there's a perceived negativity with this stuff of like, okay, Landon Routt wrote a verse on his hat. That means that he's anti-something. That doesn't mean that, right? It means that he's pro-something, right? So the rainbow means something to him. It means that he believes in the Noahic covenant being something that's special to us as Christians, right? That means that no matter how bad we possibly could be, no matter how much we reject God, that he will never again flood the earth. That's really cool. That's really special. And we do a lot of stuff, and we're all sinful. We all do a lot of stuff that may be worthy of a flooding, but God will never flood us, and because of that promise, and his promises are unconditional. So that's something that's really cool to me, is that there's nothing negative, there's nothing anti, there's nothing that says that he doesn't support anything or that he's like hateful or anything like that at all. It's all positive. It's all like, man, this is what the rainbow means to me, and I just thought that was really cool that he did that.
Amen. Amen. So his point is simple. Expressing Christian belief is not hate. And now you'll see the letter from Harmeet herself laying out the double standard. Swing and a miss. Major League Baseball encouraging players to wear Black Lives Matter on the uniforms, but reportedly threatening Christians who write Bible verses on their hats. We'll be investigating whether this amounts to religious discrimination. And here is the actual letter that she posted on X. So the whole racket collapses on one brutal comparison from Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon. Major League Baseball let players wear Black Lives Matter patches for one game only, then moved to threaten Christians for writing Bible verses on hats for one game only. Rob Manfred cannot bury that under PR sludge. NBC cannot massage it. The facts torch the lie by themselves. MLB did not enforce a neutral standard. MLB enforced an ideological standard. Left-wing activism got celebrated. Christian witnesses got policed. And that's why Dillon's CCing the EEOC chair, Andrea Lucas, and kicked the door open, swing and miss, was not a cute line. It was the sound of a protected institution getting nailed after years of sneering at ordinary believers. And J.D. Vance said it cleaner than anyone. Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore. Exactly. Christians do not have to whisper. Ball players do not have to kneel to pride orthodoxy to keep a job. Employers do not get to slap a rainbow branding on discrimination and call it tolerance. The former Biden-era culture of state-backed intimidation is over, and Trump's Justice Department just proved it with paperwork, names, dates, and consequences. So, keep going. Dig through every league office, every school district, every HR department, every contractor that punished faith while advertising diversity. Put them under oath, put them under investigation, make examples out of the people who thought the Bible had to disappear from public life while BLM slogans got a uniform exception. If you want this fight to keep moving, send this segment to someone who got bullied for their beliefs. And tell me in the comments where you have seen this same double standard in your own life. MLB just found out that the free ride is over. But I've got a free ride for you. Costs you nothing to text raw feed to 844-840-4963. We're bypassing the algorithm, going direct to you when the notifications from YouTube never arrive. Thousands and thousands of patriots are already benefiting. I want to make sure you stay on the inside track of what's really happening in this country. So text raw feed to 844-840-4963 and then check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. America 250 is here. Grab some gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, so I was trying to find this Jane Litvenko. Jane Litvenko. She is the person who wrote that BuzzFeed article. And it looks like, I think I found her reporting on tech and conflict for NBC News, previously Wall Street Journal, BuzzFeed News. Okay. All right. Looks like we found her. And her last post was 14 hours ago. So we're going to go ahead and tweet at her right now. I'm going to say, hey, Jane, we're... No, I don't want to restart my phone. Stop this madness. Okay. Hey, Jane, we are, should I say we're still waiting for a retraction, or we're waiting for an apology? How should I frame this? Should I just take the high road and say we expect a retraction in light of Tulsi Gabbard's releases today? What do you think? Or maybe I will, you know what I'll do is I will go to Tulsi Gabbard's, that's what I'll do. I will go to her original post, and then I'm going to quote tweet. So let's go find Tulsi Gabbard. Let's see what she posted. Okay, on my final day. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to Tulsi, and we're going to quote tweet, and then we're going to tag that filthy reporter. So should I say retraction? Yeah, okay, retraction is better. Should I say we're expecting or we're waiting? What do you guys think? We're expecting or I'll say we're expecting. We're expecting. We're expecting a retraction from you. Hi, Jane. We're expecting a retraction from you. And then I will post the screenshots that include her trash reporting. We're expecting. Yeah. Hey, Jane, we're expecting a retraction from you. Should I throw a jab at her, like, because of your fake news? Or should I just take the high road? I'll take the high road. Let's just take the high road today, guys. Okay, I think we'll just go ahead and, hey, Jane, we're expecting a retraction from you. Post. Okay. Your post was sent. So if you guys want to see it, you can go to my X account right now. Should I boost the post? How about we'll put $25 behind it. Yeah, we'll boost the post for 1 day. And yeah, well, maybe we'll see. That says 17,000 to 29,000. For $50, we can go 34 to 59,000. What do you guys? How about this? How about you guys throw me some super chat and we'll just boost this thing all the way? I'll wait and see what you guys come up with, and then I'll figure out how much we'll boost this. So whatever you guys throw in super chats right now is the amount that we're going to boost this post to give it to this reporter. How do you like that? I'll watch for your super chats as they pop up on the screen. All right. All right, so while we're doing that, I will let this post sit here, wait for your super chats to pop in, and then let me just check one thing here. Okay. Where are we going from here? Okay. All right, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to put $25 behind it. Sure. Okay, I'm just going to boost it. Boost post. Got it. Okay, Brian, I'm ready to go. Donald Trump just said Iran doesn't have an air force, a navy, anti-aircraft equipment, radar, or practically... Hang on. Brian, let's start over. Donald Trump just said Iran doesn't have an air force, a navy, anti-aircraft equipment, radar, or practically anything else. And Democrats still want you to believe that Tehran came out stronger. Stronger? After Trump's blockade choked off the regime so hard that even the press admitted it brought Iran to the table more than before? See, that lie just blew up. Because this is not some paper piece cooked up by Barack Obama's old appeasement cult. Trump smashed Iran's war machine, boxed in the region, and now he's heading to Camp David instead of a vanity weekend in Florida. That tells you exactly how serious this moment is. And there's one more detail that turns this from strategy into a test of American power. See, this matters because the entire Washington foreign policy racket built its career on one rotten lie. Your only choices were endless war or humiliating surrender. Barack Obama sold apology as sophistication. Legacy media mouthpieces sold weakness as restraint. Democrat operatives now sell the fantasy that Iran gained ground under Trump, even after Trump laid out the scoreboard in plain English. No Air Force, no Navy, no anti-aircraft equipment, no radar, practically nothing else. That's not diplomacy by delusion. That is deterrence by destruction. And the proof keeps stacking up. Trump asked the obvious question, who else could have done a blockade like that? Nobody. Not Joe Biden when he was president, not Anthony Blinken, not the bipartisan priesthood that spent decades funding chaos then billing America for the cleanup. Trump's team in Qatar, they just brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon to keep the Iran peace process alive, while Israel keeps its established security zones in southern Lebanon. That means Trump is containing spillover, not feeding another forever front. But 6 Americans still sit in the claws of the Iranian regime, including Reza Valizadeh, Emran Hekmati, in notorious Evin prison. So this is the stake. Does American strength bring our people home, or do regime apologists hand Tehran more time? See, when Trump restores leverage, I start thinking about where regular Americans can do the same. Ask yourself, if you could have bought oil before the world ran on it, would you? That same missed chance hangs over silver. Noble Gold Investments lays it out well. A similar opportunity is unfolding with silver because it's more than a precious metal. It's a critical resource used in solar panels and electric vehicles, but also used in defense systems, used in AI infrastructure, and used in the massive data centers that's powering our digital world. Demand keeps growing, investors are turning to silver, and it's still affordable enough that the average American can start accumulating it right now. Go to nextnewsgold.com to learn how easy it is to own physical silver. Mention my name, and Noble Gold will send you a 1/10 ounce gold coin with a new qualified account. Why? Because builders move early. Now here's the part the legacy media will bury first. The new Israel-Lebanon ceasefire does not force Israel out of its established security zones in southern Lebanon. The IDF made that clear. Trump's team in Qatar locked down a pause without handing Hezbollah a victory lap. And that matters because the usual frauds in Washington always demand concessions from America's friends first and consequences for terrorists never. And Trump flipped that script. He crushed Iran's capacity, kept pressure on the table, and stopped the wider regional fire from exploding while talks continue. I'm going to show you the receipts, the reactions, because I want you to know one thing. Do you trust Tehran to keep any deal without force staring it down? That's the question. So President Trump posting this to Truth Social. The war has diminished Iran. It doesn't any longer have an air force, a navy, anti-aircraft equipment, radar, or practically anything else. And yet the Democrats say that Iran is better off now than it was 4 months ago. Can you imagine getting away with that? How stupid can some people be? President Donald J. Trump. So Trump torching the Democrats' fairy tale that Iran somehow came out stronger. Now he explains exactly how the blockade boxed Tehran in and why he says the deal amounts to a surrender. Here he is on the Axios show.
Could have done a blockade like that. I did a naval blockade where not one ship was able to get through. Some tried. They didn't, it didn't last very long.
And it certainly brought Iran to the table more than before. However, beginning a conflict, you had talked about you only wanted unconditional surrender. And the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
I think so.
So after Trump lays out the pressure campaign, here's the part the media downplays. 6 Americans are still being held by the Iranian regime. Fox has the details on who they are and whether the White House will force Tehran's hand.
Prepares, meanwhile, for a new round of talks with Iran. The fate of 6 Americans still held by the regime is right now hanging in the balance. Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin has the update live from Washington for us. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, Sandra. Well, another key issue, as you mentioned, that remains unresolved with Tehran, whether the White House will press for the release of 6 Americans still wrongfully detained by the Iranian government. At least 2 of those Americans remain in the notorious Evin prison. Kamran Hekmati, a 61-year-old Jewish Iranian-American grandfather from Long Island. Hekmati was visiting family in Iran last spring when he was arrested over a trip to Israel 13 years ago for his son's bar mitzvah. And 49-year-old journalist Reza Valazadeh, who worked for Radio Free Europe for 10 years and returned in 2024 to care for his parents. Fox News obtained this audio of Reza from inside Evin prison.
Even if treating our diseases is a big demand, it would have at least asked the Iranian authorities to reduce not all the physical pressure and mental torture against us in captivity, but at least some of it.
Reza's attorney, Ryan Fahey, is urging the administration to make the release of all detained Americans a priority.
So while those Americans sit in Iran's custody, Trump's allies are making the bigger argument plain. Iran has been brought to its knees, not rewarded. Senator Bernie Moreno breaks down why he says this is a shot at peace without another endless war.
Well, just to be clear, the MOU is the beginning of a process to get to a situation where we have peace with Iran. It's not the end of the process. And it's going to be very, very difficult. We've been at it for 47 years. Nobody's been able to solve this problem. But let's recap what we've done. We obliterated their nuclear program last year. We've destroyed their Navy, their Air Force, their ballistic missile capability, most of their industrial base to regain that. So we've set back their nuclear program for generations. Now it's about how do we get to a point in peace. And you're right, Caleb, it may not work. And if it doesn't work, we know exactly what we need to do. And quite frankly, more importantly, the Iranians know what we're going to do. But we have to give peace an opportunity, and the American people support it. This deal is very popular with the American people. Almost 70% of Americans support this because they don't want endless wars. They want a president to focus on solving their problems.
So he says peace has to come from strength. The next test is whether the region holds. Now, the ceasefire push with Trump's team in Qatar reportedly working to keep Israel, Lebanon fighting from blowing up the Iran talks. Trump's team in Qatar have brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon per Axios.
Forging ahead with their battles with Israel. The terror group killed 4 Israeli soldiers in southern Lebanon. Israel responded with strikes that killed 18 in that region. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterating that Israel will not tolerate attacks on its soldiers. He also says that Israel will stay in Lebanon for as long as is necessary for Israel's security, something that Iran vehemently opposes. All this giving new fuel to critics who say that Iran cannot be negotiated with. Vice President J.D. Vance defending efforts to negotiate a deal.
I certainly think they recognize the leverage that the United States has over them. Will that ultimately lead to a change in behavior? I don't know. I've seen skeptics of the deal. People say the Iranians will never change their behavior. Well, maybe that's true. And if so, they don't get any of the benefits of the bargain. But isn't it worth trying?
David Spunt is live from the White House with the latest. Hi, David.
Hi, good morning, Dana. President Trump is here at the White House. No public comments right now from him on what's going on between Israel and Lebanon specifically. He will head to Camp David in just a few hours for the weekend, and the vice president's office putting out a statement about that trip to Switzerland that was canceled. I want to read it in part. It says the logistics of these negotiations have never been simple or predictable. As now the vice president is not departing tonight, we will let you know as soon as we have a concrete update about the next steps. We look forward to beginning technical talks as soon as possible. But as his office mentioned, those logistics, we've learned about those 4 Israeli defense soldiers who were killed by Lebanese forces. Israel retaliated. The president yesterday, meaning Trump, noted he expected a complete ceasefire, including Lebanon and Israel. In the last 20 minutes, he posted, "We didn't meet out of desperation. Iran did. They are finished. We'll play out the 60 days. They get no money, not 10 cents. 60 days referring to the time of the ceasefire extension. Now, President.
So the ceasefire effort didn't happen in a vacuum. Fox reports Iran itself helped broker the latest Israel-Hezbollah pause, and Trump fired back hard after Tehran tried to spin as American weakness. Iran helped broker the process.
Ramped up fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, but now the two sides have agreed to renew a ceasefire.
Max Gordon is live from Dubai. Hi, Max.
Hey, good morning. Well, this latest ceasefire kicked in just about an hour ago. A U.S. official says it was brokered by Qatar, the United States, and with help from Iran. Now, it's important to note that this is not a retreat for Israel from these established security zones in southern Lebanon, and the IDF says that they have every right to defend themselves, and this comes on the heel of heightened fighting in southern Lebanon. Overnight, the IDF reported 4 soldiers were killed and dozens of Hezbollah fighters died. Lebanon reported 21 people were killed. This latest fighting follows an escalation in southern Lebanon after an Israeli airstrike hit Beirut right before the signing of the deal between the U.S. and Iran. Back and forth strikes have since continued, with the White House sending a message that Israel needs to moderate its response. The deal with Iran dictates an end of fighting in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, released his first statement on the deal with the U.S., saying in part it was the American president who, out of desperation, used all kinds of leverage to bring this about. President Trump responding on Truth Social, saying we didn't meet out of desperation, Iran did. They are finished. We'll play out the 60 days. They get no money, not 10 cents. And now we're...
So even with Iran involved, the key point is Israel's not backing off its security zone. Next, you'll hear how the corporate media and Democrats are trying to brand the deal as surrender. Trump's team in Qatar have reportedly helped broker a new Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire in Lebanon, with Iran also involved as all sides try to stop. That's the part the media will try to bury. It's not Israel retreating from established security zones in southern Lebanon. Even the IDF's making it clear Trump is trying to stop another regional fire from exploding. Well, the bigger Iran deal is still on the table.
Flowing again through the Strait of Hormuz, Iran gets a major economic lifeline without providing other major concessions. So it may seem surprising that the country's supreme leader wasn't more enthusiastic about an initial deal to end the war. In a statement read on state TV, Mojtaba Khamenei said he was inclined not to sign it.
In principle, I had a different opinion. But the esteemed president, as the chairman of the Supreme National Security Council, gave me his commitment to protect the rights of the Iranian nation. And he stated that he would accept responsibility for it. So I issued my permission.
A day after signing the memo of understanding at Versailles, on Thursday, Donald Trump took to social media, saying he expected a complete ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon. The memo of understanding sets out a 60-day ceasefire, reopens the Strait of Hormuz, lifts U.S. sanctions against Iran, and calls for a $300 billion reconstruction fund for Iran, financed by regional partners. Democrats blasted the deal as a capitulation by the White House.
The president said in February that he was going to get unconditional surrender. I didn't know it was him getting to his own unconditional surrender. This is an abject embarrassment to him on the global scale.
The deal leaves the thornier issues of what to do about Iran's nuclear program unresolved, meaning the most consequential negotiations are still to come.
So the left calls it capitulation, but even Trump's team says critics don't know what is actually in the deal. J.D. Vance responding directly, saying some in Israel are attacking the president instead of looking at results. J.D. Vance says people in Israel are ungrateful. They're attacking President Trump despite everything he's done. He was directly asked whether he believes Israel is evil and whether it's on the side of righteousness. Vance is well aware the younger generation strongly dislikes Israel. They're attacking the president because they don't like this deal.
Do you feel that Israel is on the side here of righteousness? Look, ultimately, there's always a good versus evil battle going on.
Yeah.
A lot of folks see Israel as the bad guy here, obviously, especially younger, not just progressives, younger conservatives, younger evangelicals. Sure. So how do you see Israel in this in terms of being on the right side here or the wrong side?
Yeah, I think it's important to say, look, Israel's been a great partner through this, and we've got a lot of shared interests. If you go back to the early 2000s, when we were first confronting the Islamist radicalism and terrorism problem, obviously we actually had some very important Gulf allies, but the Israelis have been important partners. And then even going back before that, there were other things that we were working on together. What I think is also true is that sometimes the United States and Israel are going to have disagreements. And I think that what some people say is, well, because the United States and Israel have disagreements, somehow Israel's bad, the United States is good, or vice versa. Sometimes you see people in Israel, even after all the president of the United States has done for that region, they're attacking the president because, you know, they don't like this deal, even though a lot of them don't know what's in the deal. I think that what is true here is if you go back to, you know, Eisenhower and General Montgomery in World War II, people can work together, have shared interests, but also have disagreements from time to time. I really feel like, David, when the people of Israel get to know this deal and hopefully trust what the president is able to accomplish for the region, they're going to see this is good for the people of Israel. It's a great country, amazing people. We have a lot of friends who live there. It's going to be good for the people of Israel. It's going to be good for the whole region.
But Israel.
So Vance making clear allies can disagree, but Trump is still the one trying to stop the wider war. Now here's a fresh signal. This is serious. President heading to Camp David this weekend instead of Florida or remaining at the White House per his official schedule. Trump very infrequently goes to Camp David. 47 will head there tonight and come back to the White House on Sunday. So the peak of the story is not some smiling diplomat at Versailles. It's Donald Trump throwing one sentence like a brick through the regime's propaganda machine. Iran does not have an air force, a navy, anti-aircraft equipment, radar, or practically anything else. That line wrecks every spin artist on CNN, every Obama clone appeaser, every Democrat hack pretending Trump somehow strengthened Tehran. No. Trump gutted the terror state's war-making capacity, then used that leverage to force ceasefires around the theater while keeping Israel's security zones intact. That's command. That's what a superpower does when it remembers it is a superpower. And if Ali Khamenei's regime stalls while 6 Americans rot in prison, Trump already told them the next chapter. Peace is if they comply. Punishment is if they cheat. So take the scoreboard and burn it into your memory. Trump's blockade worked. Trump's pressure worked. Trump's military destruction of Iran's capabilities worked. The regional ceasefire effort is working, and the same media class that covered for Obama's disgrace and covered for Biden's drift now wants you to unsee the evidence that's sitting right in front of you. Don't let Mark Caputo-style caveats and Democrat spin doctors fog this up. Iran came to the table because Trump broke its leverage first. Lebanon cooled because Trump's team moved fast enough to stop another front from blowing open. Camp David this weekend tells you Trump treats this like wartime statecraft and not theater. Now, the only acceptable outcome is total verification. Zero trust and results, especially for Reza Balizadeh, Arman Hekmati, and the other Americans still held by that regime. Drop your take in the comments, share with us somebody who's still trapped in the old appeasement fantasy, and keep your eyes on the only number that matters now. How many Americans that Trump brings home. And make sure you pay attention to another number, the one that's on your screen, 844-840-4963. That is where thousands of patriots have already texted the words raw feed, and they're getting the message and the information and the news direct from me to their phones every night. One text message at the end of the evening, and you'll be kept in the loop when the YouTube notifications never show up. And celebrate all these wins by going to the merch shelf below this video. We got some America 250 gear just for you, or you can go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. All right, guys. What's going on? You guys are having some weird stuff going on in the chat room. Is it glitching or something? You said? I don't know. I'm not sure. Sometimes software has its problems. Yeah. So I made that post, and okay, here it is. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send it to Angie too, because she'll appreciate that. She saw that Tulsi Gabbard video this morning, and she's like, Carrie, you need to see this. Holy cow, she's on fire. And I'm like, checking it out. I'm like, oh yeah, and I remember this is her last day. It's sad. She's got to go and help her husband, who has cancer, so pray for her and her family and her husband. But also pray that Bill Plute, who's going to be taking over in the interim, can fill her shoes. Tulsi Gabbard was an absolute threat to the deep state. That's one of the reasons why they wanted her out so bad. And I think that Bill Plute also is a threat. And the reason I say that, and that's one of the reasons why they don't want to confirm him, is because look what he did when he was working was he with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac? He was working in the mortgage side of things, and he was investigating, and he found the Adam Schiff mortgage fraud, Letitia James mortgage fraud. So, I mean, he knows where to look. So that's why he's a big threat to them. So, Salty says that, thank you, Crin, for your $2 earlier. Appreciate that. And Salty, chat is glitching on your end. All chats are doubled or tripled on your side. Everything is fine on our end. I guess I'm not seeing it on the screen here. Maybe I don't know. Okay, well, speaking of glitches, Trader Joe's, man. Trader Joe's certainly had a major glitch today. At 7 o'clock in the morning, grown adults wrapped around an entire shopping complex for a Trader Joe's tote bag. It cost $2.99. Not gold, not medicine, not baby formula. A canvas grocery sack. One woman filmed the line, kept blurting, "I'm gonna die," because it stretched so far it looked like Disneyland rope drop for produce merch. And then the internet did what the internet always does. It tried to flip the same bag for $42, $350, $2,000, even a laughable $31,000, and overseas listings up to $50,000. This is not harmless fun. This is a country getting trained to chase hype on command, and the details get even dumber. But why does it matter, you ask? Because the same middle class that spent years getting hammered by the former Biden administration's inflation disaster now lives inside a culture that trains people to sprint towards fake scarcity like lab rats chasing pellets. Regular Americans still pay too much for groceries, gas, rent, insurance, and everything else. President Trump's back in office, busting up the mess, enforcing order and putting America first again. But the cultural rot that the left's emptiness normalize, it still lingers. You can see it in one humiliating image. Hundreds of adults outside Trader Joe's at 7 a.m. lining up around the block to buy a glorified grocery sack for $3. Then resellers jack it up to $50,000 overseas, London, Tokyo. People salivating. One mother and daughter bought 24 of them to ship to a family in South Korea. That's not commerce, that's status addiction. And a nation this easy to manipulate gets sold emptiness and then thanks the machine for the privilege. So when adults stampede at 7 a.m. for a $2.99 tote, ask yourself a serious question. If a real disruption hit you and you couldn't get to the store, how long would your house last? If it's less than a month, go to preparewithgary.com. Prepare with Gary from My Patriot Supply, America's #1 preparedness company with over 3 million satisfied customers. Their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply gets you an additional week of food for free. These are real meals with real ingredients, no artificial flavors, no artificial colors, and at least 2,000 calories a day. It's the best long-term storable food, shelf life measured in decades, from the oldest trusted folks in the business. And that's how you beat hype-driven scarcity. Grab your free week of emergency food now at preparewithgary.com. Store food and not hype. Now, one detail turns this from ordinary consumer stupidity into full clown world anthropology. The craze didn't stop at one parking lot or one social media pylon. Trader Joe's bags turned into an overseas status symbol from Taiwan to Korea to Japanese limited item listings. And one East Coast mother-daughter duo, they bought 24 just to ship them over to South Korea. 24 for grocery bags. I'm going to pull up the tweets because normal Americans still know insanity when they see it. This has been all over the web. This is crazy. What's the deal with the Trader Joe bags? They're ugly bags. I don't get it. So these are the bags you see on your screen here. What are people? Look at the lines. These are people going to Trader Joe's to get these bags. 7 a.m. Helicopter drone footage capturing the insanity. Oh, but there's more. Look at all these people waving, waiting in line just to go get these Trader Joe bags. So not just a weird line in a parking lot next to downtown Trader Joe's. There's people literally queuing on a sidewalk for the tote bag. This is another Trader Joe's. So not a local fluke. The next clip, twist the knife. One account says the line for $2.99 bag was longer than the crowd for Obama's big center opening. Ha ha! There was a longer line at Trader Joe's to get a $2.99 bag. And they quote tweeted Democrats. So after the comparison, the next video shows just how absurd it got at daybreak. We're talking 7 a.m. lines, wrapping the block, people acting like it's Black Friday raid for canvas. Colin Rugg, massive line spotted outside Trader Joe's. According to Wall Street Journal, similar bags have been listed online for $50,000 overseas in London and Tokyo. Look at here, check this out. This is the insanity. And now, of course, you can see this has been sped up 3 times. This person looks like they're just driving around the block. Look at all these people for these bags. I mean, are they all going to try and resell them? What are these, like Beanie Babies or something? Like, what the hell is going on here? So it gets even stranger. These bags aren't just a U.S. fad. People are hauling them overseas with Trader Joe's branding popping up in Korea. This guy says, I have a whole photo gallery of Koreans with Trader Joe bags. This is a thing, apparently. So this little grocery store status symbol has gone international. Next up, another post says the obsession is all over Asia, with Taiwan treating these bags like must-have fashion. One of the funniest trends in Taiwan is that Trader Joe's bags like this are super trendy, apparently all over Asia. It's ridiculous enough when people line up outside, but the next clip shows what happens when the doors open. You're about to see shoppers swarming the display like the last ration in the commissary. Oh boy, buckle up. I think I'm gonna die in this house. Dollface writes, them white people was in Trader Joe's acting a damn fool over those bags. So the in-store mob scene wasn't the end of it. Next, Based Jessica shows the same chaos from closer in with people begging for specific colors and reaching straight into the box.
Low with the bags. Stop. Can we please stop? We have a low with the bags. Stop. We're going to put them out gradually, okay? Can you please stop? No. Hold on.
Can I get two blue? Can I get two blue, please?
Could I please get a blue one? I have two.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow, really good.
Hold on.
Could I get one? Could I get one?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'll give you some more. Just one green one. Just one. Are ridiculous.
Wow. So now you've seen the scramble inside the store. Next come the money angle, a line wrapped around the whole complex, followed by eBay listings pushing these little bags into fantasy price lands. This line for the new Trader Joe's bag wraps around the entire shopping complex. People waiting in line spend $2.99 basic grocery bag because it's limited edition. After checking how much the resale value on eBay, I can confidently say it's not worth the wait. This is from Wall Street Apes, another high-speed visualization. So the resale numbers are Clown World. Next clip says exactly. It's another wide shot of grown adults waiting for hours for a basic tote. Oh, it's Clown World, all right. Welcome to Clown World. No, this is not for a concert, guys. One user says if you stood in line for a Trader Joe's bag, you need to get your head examined. That's right. So the killer detail is really still the cleanest one. 7 in the morning, hundreds of adults, a line curling around the entire shopping complex, all for a $2.99 bag. Then the resale carnival lights with up to 42, 350, 2,000, 31,000. And Wall Street Journal tracked overseas listings near $50,000. That's the social media herd instinct in one ugly frame. Not aspiration, not style, emptiness with a price tag. The villain here is the mindless status-chasing machine that Silicon Valley dopamine merchants, influencer culture, and late-stage consumer junk food marketing built brick by brick. Trader Joe's didn't invent the hollowing out of America. The unserious culture did. And it turned adults into a flash mob for canvas. Pathetic. Normal Americans know the difference between worth and hype. They know a bag is a bag. They know you do not torch half your morning, wrap around a shopping center, then brag online because you scored the spring 2026 mini pastel tote for $2.99 before some reseller tried to fleece a sucker for $31,000. And they definitely know that while President Trump is fighting to restore strength, borders, industry, and sanity, the country cannot drift back into the decadent nonsense that taught people to build identity around junk. Family matters, faith matters, work matters, preparedness matters, common sense matters. A glorified grocery sack does not. So I want to hear from you. If you saw that 7 a.m. line outside Trader Joe's, what would you call it? Drop your verdict in the comments. Pass this segment on to one person who still has functioning priorities. And let's keep mocking every absurd hype cycle that tries to sell America its own emptiness. But here's something I'm not going to sell you. I'm going to give this to you. Text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how we continue to monitor all the madness in the world and make sure that you know about it. Every night we'll send you a text message, Monday through Friday, give you the latest news so you can catch up for the day. Why? Because YouTube's not sending you notifications, and they're burying our videos under countless, cat videos and CNN spin. This is how we get around it. So I want to make sure you do. And since we're talking about shopping, check out the merch shelf below this video or go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. All right, folks. It's Friday. All right, guys. The weekend has begun. It's Father's Day weekend. What are you guys going to do for Father's Day? I've already got my tickets. I'm going to go see Disclosure Day with my kids and my wife. I've read some of the reviews. We found a nice movie theater where they will bring you food to your seat. So I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm just going to celebrate Father's Day all weekend, really. I think tomorrow is going to be a brisket day. Yeah, smoked brisket. And some smoked ribs. Yeah. See, I was having a conflict. I was trying to figure out, because I am trying to watch what I eat, and I'm working out every day. I'm getting buff. You want me to take my shirt off right now? No, I'm not going to do that. But if you saw some of the pictures that I posted from the ellipse on social media, you could see the buffness. But, so I got to watch my intake. So I can't double up on the brisket, because I'm going to go to the movie theater on Sunday. I'm going to have to figure out, what I can eat, because it's going to be I'm trying to, Brussels sprouts are good. Those are really good if it's done right. They have Brussels sprouts. They bring you Brussels sprouts to your seat. But my biggest problem is popcorn. That's my biggest problem. I love popcorn. Oh my God, I love popcorn. Speaking of which, I need to put an order in for some popcorn right now. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, we're going to order some popcorn. And we're going to start this weekend off right. I hope you guys have a wonderful Father's Day. Call your dad. Tell him you love him. I'll be calling my dad this weekend too. And when those hugs come in from your little ones, hold them tight. Because that, at the end of the day, it's all that matters. None of this stuff. I report on this stuff all day long. It's chaos, it's insanity, it's celebration, it's beautiful. I love America. I love presenting the news to you guys, but at the end of the day, it's all about family. You guys are family. I love you guys too. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful and blessed Father's Day weekend.